Alright guys, you saw the title. You know what we're talking about here. This is a situation I think that needs to be addressed. We need to have this conversation. The entire reason for this video is so we can start this down in the comments. With that being said, I don't think we're getting Breath of the Wild 2 in 2022. I think this game is going to be pushed back to 2023. There's a few main reasons why. We keep getting more and more, but let's start from the beginning. We saw the very first look, the very first teaser trailer of this game back at E3 in 2019. So this has been before the pandemic, 2019, 2021. So we're about 3 years out from the time. We're coming up on 3 years out from the time when we first heard about this game. Now, when they first showed us all this stuff about Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, we're gonna call it Breath of the Wild 2 for this video, it's easier. When we first heard about that, when they showed us that initial teaser trailer, we didn't really get a lot of info. They obviously didn't give us a date, they didn't give us a time frame, we didn't get a name. All we got was a little bit of text at the end saying that it was in development. So obviously all of us started going crazy. You know, we wondered when we were gonna see it. Even all through last year, I still said I believed it was gonna be the 2021 holiday game. But then again, we also thought that we were gonna get all kinds of stuff for the Zelda 35th anniversary. We got really none of that. We got, you know, some stuff. We got a Game & Watch, which I do like. I like the Game & Watch. We got some Joy-Cons. We got Skyward Sword HD, but no Breath of the Wild 2. We didn't get Breath of the Wild 2 in 2021. What we did get is a trailer. Still didn't get a name. We got a lot more info on what this game's gonna actually be, though. Obviously, you guys know. You're seeing it right here. We got to see a lot of the gameplay mechanics, sort of some of the new stuff that we're gonna be seeing. New enemies, new armor, new outfits, obviously a bunch of stuff that we haven't seen in the previous game that everybody was speculating over what this means, what that means. There were also some leaks talking about different mechanics that we might see in the game, some different patterns that we saw. I'm not sure exactly what they were, but most of it was just mechanics that we're going to see in the game. It's kind of stuff we saw in the trailer, a few other things, but for the most part, what we got in that trailer is the fact that it's going to be coming out in 2022. But I really, as I said, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think there's a lot of things in the background and a lot of things we have, just actual facts we have now about games coming out and when they're coming out. It just really shows that there's not a whole lot of room for this game to be released really anytime at all this year. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of speculating here before I get into this list of games that are kind of in its way. I'm going to go ahead and just say this, and you know, this could be wrong, but I'm going to say Nintendo's probably going to want at least 6 months of lead up time. So 6 full months, we'll just say, for marketing, you know, advertising, to really get the hype out there. Not that this game needs it, but again, Nintendo's definitely gonna put it out there. They want this to do well. The original Breath of the Wild is the best-selling Zelda game by a mile. The last one that was even close, and really still wasn't even close, was Twilight Princess, and I think it sold like 8 million. 8 point something million. Breath of the Wild's over 20 million copies sold. Way more than that at this point. So they have high expectations for this game. So we're gonna say a 6 month lead up. So that gives us what? We're at the end of March now. So April, May, June, July, August, September. So end of September, we'll say, is probably the earliest that we're going to see this game. We've already got some heavy hitters announced that are going to be coming out around that time probably. We're going to go over a lot of those here. I have a big list of things here that when we get to the end of this, I think a lot of you may be pretty upset, because I'm sure there's a ton of you right now that are still saying, no, he's crazy. It's definitely coming out holiday 2022. But guess what else is coming out holiday 2022? Pokemon Gen 9. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are coming out late 2022. Now you would think, okay, that's just one game. They can separate those out a little bit. Yeah, maybe. Splatoon 3, they're saying summer, but at this point, we're coming into spring and we haven't got a date. So my guess is that may be pushed back away from the summer as well. Whether we like it or not, these games that are being released right now through the rest of this year and into next year, these games have been affected by the pandemic. Whether you want to admit it or not, whether you like to admit it or not, it's happening. It's still a problem that they are catching up with. Not as much of a problem now out in the world, but it's still something that they're trying to catch up with. So that game, as I said, Splatoon 3 might be moved back. What else do we have here? Xenoblade Chronicles 3. That one's going to come out at the end of this year too. That's another 2022 game. That one's definitely going to be sometime around the holidays. So now you've got Pokemon and you've got Xenoblade. Another decently big one, which I didn't even realize was coming to Switch until this morning, is Lord of the Rings Gollum. I had no idea that game was going to be on Switch. Maybe I did and I just forgot, but that's another pretty big game that's supposed to be coming out this year. My guess would be later in the year. We've got Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Not a huge game, and it's technically a Ubisoft game, not a Nintendo first-party game, and neither is Gollum, but Nintendo's not going to want to fight against all these other games for a game that they want to do extremely well. Another one we need to talk about, not as big of a deal, but it's still something that a lot of people are excited about. It's not a game for me, but Advance Wars 1 and 2, that's got to find a new home as well. That could be coming later this year too. That might need somewhere around the holidays as well. Maybe it'll end up selling better if they release it around that time. Bayonetta 3. We have not seen anything else about Bayonetta 3 except for the fact that it's coming out in 2022 as well. Again, that could be moved. We don't know. Could be just like Breath of the Wild 2. Maybe not going to be in 2022. Might be 2023. But that's supposed to be coming out in 2022 as well. I would guess that's probably at least 6 months down the road since we don't have a date for that. And now these aren't coming to the Switch, but there are other really big games coming out around that time that I just don't know if they want Breath of the Wild to have to deal with. We got Starfield coming out in November. We've got God of War Ragnarok's coming out some point later in the year. Again, those aren't Nintendo games, but you know, it's something to think about. Gotham Knights, that's one that's going to be coming out later this year as well. Again, probably not a huge concern for Nintendo, but it's something to add to the list. But this is the one I think that put it over the edge for me. We've got Hogwarts Legacy coming to the Switch. I didn't think that game was going to get a Switch port. It is. That game is also coming out this year. That game, the Harry Potter franchise, that's going to be huge. I guarantee, even though it's probably not going to look that good, probably won't run that well. It's from WB Games. When I think WB Games on the Switch, I know there are better ones, but I just think Mortal Kombat 11 and that one looks rough. So I think this will still sell good on the Switch, but that's probably going to be a holiday game as well. So where are we going to put Breath of the Wild 2 this year? I just don't think it's happening. I think we are going to see this early next year. I think it may line up with something if we get a new Switch. Maybe we get the Switch Lite OLED, or we get the new whatever they're going to release, if they release anything. Maybe they'll line that up with Breath of the Wild 2 later in the year. But my good friend Hari brought something up to me. I think it was Saturday or Sunday over the weekend. I was talking about this in the Discord, and he actually texted me and said it would be really cool to see them put it out on the release date of Breath of the Wild, just 6 years later. So March, the day the Switch came out, 6 years ago. I don't know how much Nintendo actually does that type of thing, specific dates. I don't think it's a lot. I know a lot of people do that type of stuff. I don't know if Nintendo really does that a lot. I'd have to look into it. That's something I did not look up for this video. I'll do that, and if I find anything, I'll put it in the comments. I'll pin a comment down below. But I think he may be right. I think that would be a great time. January and February are kind of meh months. It's always like that in this industry. We don't get a whole lot in those months. This past year we did, just because things were different the year before. We got Pokemon Legends Arceus in February. It was late February, almost March. But March, late February is really when things start ramping back up again after all the big holiday sales, all the big holiday releases. That's usually when it happens, and I think that would be a really good spot for this game. And I've said this in several videos. I'm going to say it again. If they need that time to make sure this game is great, awesome. Take the time. I would rather have a complete game that everyone loves, that, who knows, maybe if we do get new hardware, maybe it comes out on that. Maybe this is one of those things where it's like Wii U, Switch, that how Zelda Breath of the Wild was on that. Maybe it's Switch and Switch 2, or, new Switch, whatever. Maybe it'll run a little better on the new one, but also play on the old one. Who knows? But that leaves one big question. It does look as bleak and as grim as it looked for a while. It does look like we are actually going to get a digital E3 this year. So we'll probably see a show from Nintendo. We'll see a direct around that time, one of those days that week. The big question is, will we see Breath of the Wild 2 in that presentation? Because honestly, I think we will, but I don't think it matters either way. Even if we see it there, I think we're still going to get probably something along the lines of, hey, it's not ready, but here's Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. I mean, those are coming eventually. We all know they're eventually going to be on the Switch. It's just when. I feel like they probably would have been released for the 35th anniversary. Everything got messed up with the pandemic, so they tried to hold some stuff. We've talked about this in another video, which I'll link at the end here. We've been kind of keeping up with this as this has gone on, but I feel like right now 2023 is probably when we're gonna see this. But guys, that's really all I got for this one. I'm sorry we've done 2 in a row here right at the desk, but you know, I'm gonna have another one for you guys later this week. I just wanted to get this one up and out so we could have this conversation down in the comments. So I will be waiting for you guys there. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you think we're actually gonna get Breath of the Wild 2 in 2022 or if you think it's coming out in 2023. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, make sure you are subscribed, and we will see you in the next one.